Welcome everyone. I'm Orlando and I thank you for clicking on this video if you're a returning subscriber. And if you just clicked on this video, then also thank you too. Today we're going to be talking about where the market is when it comes to financing. I'm going to go over kind of each property type, each scenario, and kind of go over and let people know exactly where the market is right now. And to be honest, it's not looking good. This is a really funny time as far as with the pandemic, and everybody is basically trying to get back into the motion and swing of things, especially banks. They don't want to just sit still and they want to lend, but there's some caveats when it comes to lending at this moment, right? So let's just jump straight into it, and let's just start off with business loans. Business loans are kind of in a weird area right now. So SBA is allowing the full range of lending abilities to multiple property types. The banks are bringing in their box and then deciding that, you know what, we don't want to really lend to those property types. And those property types that they don't want to lend to are hospitality, restaurants, and bars. That industry got hit really hard in the pandemic and is still getting hard in some areas. Here in Illinois, a lot of those areas are still restricted with social distancing and whatnot. And then we also see the resurgence happening in Texas and Florida and everything else all over the country. So a lot of banks are really worried about what's going to happen in the future and what's happening now. And I don't really think they're going to really open up that box again until we get a vaccine. But that's just my opinion on that. But what I do know for sure is that, like I said, restaurant, bars, and hospitality is really a no-go at the moment. So as far as everything else, so long you can prove that, hey, I made money during the pandemic, which is kind of a double-edged sword because everybody was affected by this. But if you can show that you weren't hit as hard with the pandemic and showed that, last year you made XYZ and you can cover your debt, then everything will be fine. So your regular businesses that don't fit in those three categories that I said, you'll be fine, and you may get a reduction in your LTV, but other than that, I think you'll be fine. So let's jump on to some conventional stuff, right? So as far as conventional goes, let's just talk about office and retail. Office and retail are just, they got hit really, really, really hard. And conventional right now in the banking industry is almost non-existent, right? No one really wants to lend to those areas because of resurgence in COVID. And not only do they not want to lend because of that, but they got hit pretty hard in the present, right? So a lot of tenants didn't pay their rent and whatnot, and a lot of have tried. Basically, businesses have closed. So a lot of banks are saying, look, we're just not really interested in doing any retail or office right now. Those sectors got hit pretty hard too. So they're just avoiding that altogether. And they're saying no way to that unless you can prove, which is a very hard ask. If you can prove that I didn't lose any money during the pandemic, and in the future, I'm going to make more money in my office and retail buildings, then you can probably get a deal done. But we both know that that's going to be a hard ask. And then most likely, and this even goes back to SBA, is you're probably going to have to prove and show some type of business plan, letting the bank know, hey, these are the things that I'm doing to make sure that we have a resurgence of COVID, that I'll be protected in some way, how I'm going to mitigate risk and whatnot. And that's going to happen with the retail and office sector also. So then let's go into the darlings, which is multifamily and flip and fixes and residential investment. These areas have always been very easy to find financing for. You've had multiple lanes and places that you possibly could go to find financing for it. The LTVs have always been high, and that's not so much the situation right now. LTVs have dropped. Before, you could get a 80 LTV on any of those property types that I just stated, which was multifamily, duplexes, and whatnot. Any residential, even single families for investment, right? But now you're probably looking at 70% LTV even on multifamily, which is crazy, right? Multifamily has been the best property type for the last 10 years, 10 years plus, right? And now we're in the pandemic, and a lot of banks just don't know what's going to happen because they don't know if the economy, the downturn, the recession that we're in right now, how hard is it going to hit tenants and their ability to pay rent? No one knows. So a lot of banks are doing like a wait and see type of scenario where they say, let's give it let's flush this out for another 6 months to kind of see exactly where we are in this pandemic. So once again, multifamily, like I said, duplexes and that residential investment property types, the LTVs have dropped, but there is still money available for those property types. Office, retail, conventional, kaput. It's pretty tough. And then SBA, if you have restaurants, bars, hospitality, you're not, there's nothing there right now. Once again, guys, if you found any value out of this video, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification button so that when I upload videos like this, that you can be notified. Until then, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.